I was 8 years old when my best friend was born. I remember watching his little body wiggle in between his siblings, and I was just in awe. At the time, I never thought I was going to be able to call him mine. My mother and I had looked and looked for another dog to bring into our home after the passing of her dog. We were never able to find the right one, but I could not wait to show my mom these puppies. I asked her to come in and see them, but she said it will have to wait till tomorrow since we were too busy that night. Finally, the next day came, and I practically dragged her to the litter of puppies. I let her look at them for a moment, and then pointed out the one who had caught my eye since the first time I saw him. I said, "Mom, this is the biggest one in the litter, and they call him Bruiser." She never said a word, and still to this day I cannot figure out why. Finally, she stood up and told my daycare lady that she would be back in just a moment. Finally, my mom comes back in with a checkbook in hand and asked how much. And from that day forward, he was my puppy, and we called him Jackson. Jackson and I spent every day together. Before school, I would run in and hold him and whisper in his ear that he was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I would do the same exact thing after school. I never missed a day of his life. Finally, it was time to bring him home with us forever. I did everything with Jackson. We played in the sunshine, rain, and snow. We played together throughout every day and slept together at night. I could have never asked for a better dog. The years went by so fast. I never stopped to just take a day and appreciate how my life had changed for the better. It seemed as though one night we went to bed and woke up and his beautiful red fur had turned to white around his eyes. We still did everything together, though. I had been hiding something from my parents, but it never seemed bad because Jackson was just always by my side. I remember one week in September of 2020, Jackson just did not seem himself. And finally, on September 25th, 2020, Jackson took a turn for the worst. I remember pacing around the house and wondering, why him? Why my best friend? Why the best thing to come into my life? That night, at around 4 p.m., I had to say goodbye to Jackson. I don't really remember a whole lot from that time exactly. I felt like I was being stabbed 100 times in the chest. I remember crying a lot that night, and the days that followed. It seemed like day after day was dragging on, and I felt stuck in a world I didn't know how to be in, without him by my side. Everything continued to get worse. But then one day, our mail lady stopped by our house to show my parents something. It was a litter of golden retriever puppies, the same breed as Jackson was. My parents had already been talking about looking for another dog, and it seemed like this could be a good thing. We got in touch with the breeder, and we were given a date to stop by and meet the puppy. She had already picked one out for us, because she had heard our story and how we had lost Jackson. I remember being excited and anxious about going to meet him. I thought to myself, how could I let in another puppy when I'm still mourning the death of my best friend? But all that changed as soon as I saw him. I fell in love. I was the first to hold him, and while I was holding him, the breeder said he was one of the biggest of the litter and that his puppy name was Bruiser. The same puppy name was given to Jackson. I cried on the spot. I finally was able to feel happy, and I knew right there and then I would be able to love this puppy. Finally, in February of 2021, we were able to bring Dudley home. I did everything that I did with Jackson with Dudley. We played in the snow, cuddled, and played with his toys. Our favorite thing to do, though, was to take our afternoon naps when I would get off of work. There's never a dull moment with Dudley around. But only after a few short months of being together, I had to leave him to come to UNM for college. But I get pictures every day, and I always tell him that I say hi and that I love him on the phone. These two dogs are the lights of my life, and without them, I don't know what would have happened. Losing Jackson took a toll on my body that I wasn't ready for. But gaining Dudley in the end made everything worth it. No matter what, there is always something good around the corner, even if those corners are bigger than others. It was always worth it in the end. I can't wait to come home and see my little puppy again. But shh, it's a secret because my mom told me not to come home. But I booked myself a plane ticket and will be back in just 19 days. Stop swallowing all of it.
Jump down, you're gonna go face first in that fucking goddamn pipe. Yeah, I don't care.
I ignored him for so long, but now he's happy.